Hello, this is Mark Arroyo. Welcome back to my channel. It is unfortunate that we are witnessing the death of another black man by the hands of a police officer in this society. We have seen this again and again, especially if you're in my age range, on our TV and phone screens way too many times. As a black man who just turned into an adult in this world, it is very hard and frightening and discouraging to go outside in the outside world without having any type of fear of being made a victim or statistic in this country. So rest in peace to Dante, right? My prayers and condolences go out to his family and friends, and I pray that we don't see incidents like this on our timelines ever again. Black men in America are the most paranoid groups of people in this country, in my opinion. And black men and paranoia are kind of like two interwoven concepts that are tied together and can't seem to be separated apart from each other. And while racism is the number one cause of this, in this video I'm going to explain at least 3 manifestations of how racism transformed paranoia into the modern day black man, into what it is today, not just physically but mentally as well. And for just a quick disclaimer, I may be using black men. Black men are probably the number one topic that I'm discussing in this video, but I also want to explain that paranoia and fear and anxiety also happens not just all minorities, but especially in black women and children as well, especially black women in this country in recent times after the whole Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez fiasco. So yeah, I may use just black men, but just to be sure that this happens to black women and children. This is just for the video's sake, okay? And I use black men and black people interchangeably in this video as well, so just a quick heads up. Okay, to start it off, socioeconomic issues as well as finding a job and income is one of the first topics we will discuss. It should be noted that young black men in this country need jobs, and the unemployment rate for black people and just black men in general are devastatingly low. If you look at this graph detailing the unemployment rate with black men, women, and white men and women, you can see from 2019 to 2020 the high levels of unemployment over the age of just 20 years old. And if you see this graph based on annual earnings and income, you can see the black man earns less than white men and women, earning less than $378 per week and $125 less than white women per week. It's been studied that a lot of factors that lead to a lot of black men's depression is from low shortages of income and job and opportunities. And when you have a family and you're not earning as much money from your minimum wage job, you begin to feel a sense of worthlessness as a man. And when you don't fit this quote unquote standard of being, the alpha male and the number one provider of your family, the one who gets all the bread, he's grinding 24/7, he's hustling, and if you don't fit that standard because of your low shortages of job and your unemployment and your just income is just low as hell, then your self-identity and the identity you want to portray isn't actually true, and you begin to question yourself and be like, I'm the man, I'm supposed to earn all the money, why isn't this coming to me? An article down below in the description box that talks about depression in black males talks about how black men under the age of 30 who earn at least $8,000 per year and have a household of at least 5 people scored higher in the depression scale, and African American males who had no job and were unemployed and had conflict with their partner had the highest rating in the depression scale. Now that I think about it, there's this video on YouTube, you can search this up, it's a very good video. It's a video on James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni, It was in the 1970s in an interview, and they did it with each other. And James Baldwin in the video talked about how when he was younger and his dad would come back home angry and resentful, he didn't understand it as a young boy. So when he was a kid, he grew distant from his father, and he didn't understand him. And his father always came home annoyed, frustrated. He didn't want to talk to his kids, to his wife. He just was a very distant man. And then when James Baldwin got older and when he tried to find jobs and things like that, he began to understood why his dad was frustrated, and he was, alienated himself and couldn't really express his feelings towards his kids and towards his wife, for example. Now, it's not good to bottle up your emotions or keep them inside, but when you have people that you're surrounded with that just don't understand what you're going through on a daily basis of racism and discrimination, it's kind of makes sense why the black fathers are kind of quiet, and when they come back home they kind of unleash that type of anger towards their kids. And I had to learn it too, because I can very much understand what James Baldwin is talking about, because as I grow older and as I have jobs and things like that and things annoy me, I start to project them towards my brothers and my family. And it's not intentional, it's just that when you're in this place where you feel like nobody understands you, you lash out to people that you love and you care about and things like that. It sort of explains how young black boys and men bottle up their emotions even to this day. I mean, even like 100 years later, we're still bottling up these emotions, and especially dealing with things like workplace discrimination, which is still a thing today. I've seen it. It's a whole nother topic. I can probably make a video about, comment down below if you want it, but that's a whole different thing, and I've seen it. Trust me, it's still there. It's real. Okay, so secondly, medical or pharmaceutical practices on black men are a prominent example of the paranoid or fear-based feeling we receive on a daily basis. Back in 1932, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, where there was a study by the PHS and CDC that wanted to observe untreated syphilis on the Negro male at the time, and they performed it on 600 black men, 399 having syphilis, and 201 who were not infected. They told the participants they were being treated for bad blood, but that was not the case at all. With their participation in the experiment, the PHS promised them free medical care, but of course it obviously didn't happen, and what resulted were many deaths of black men. 40 black women got syphilis, and children got it as well. And the crazy thing about it was when the treatment for syphilis called penicillin came out in 1947, the treatment was withheld from the patients. And mind you, the experiment landed in 1932 and ended in 1972. So for 40 years, none of these patients got the treatment at all. Just a quick reminder, these were very, very, very poor black men, and they never had any access to health information, never seen a doctor before, and never had any thought of what a doctor was, so they didn't know what the hell was going on. Because of that, you can obviously tell why many black men and people have a distrust for public health officials, and even still to this day with the whole COVID-19 stuff happening and the vaccine and black people not having much access to the vaccine as well is very damaging. With that put into perspective, the fear of a black man going to the doctor's room is very terrifying, especially if you have a genuine mental disorder that you just can't help it anymore. And when your mental disorder isn't treated, black people and black men are more susceptible for incarceration, homelessness, substance abuse, violence, and so much more. I also want to mention the stigma many black men face whenever they need help or whenever they want to seek help. They get responses like, come on, stop being a pussy, don't tell people about your problem, all those other type of things. And those comments deal a huge negative influence in any man's mind, because they don't want to be looked as that. They want to be seen as hard and tough, and they don't want to be looked at as like a coward or something like that. And which they should probably go seek help, because the tough thing you need to accept is that a lot of men commit suicide more than anybody else in the world. So it's not a bad idea to go seek help, and that's the stigma that many black men face, because they don't want to be seen as weak, because we need to fit the standard, like what I said earlier. We need to fit the standard of being tough and hard, and if you deal with problems, go deal with them yourself, that type of thing. Finally, a no way out environment or bad neighborhoods surrounding a black man are also a big heavy burden on his mind. For this point, I don't have statistics or big examples I can just spew out the top of my mind, but for this part I want you to just sit down and imagine you are a young black man, right, in the south side of Chicago. You're living in a terrible, horrible neighborhood where you can't trust anybody in your neighborhood. It's pretty much you against everybody else, because black on black crime, it's a whole different type of thing. The school to prison pipeline is in full effect when you graduate high school, which means that they're sending you off to school and putting you to prison as soon as you come out. There's liquor stores and gun stores every corner you go to, negative influences everywhere you see. The police harass you every single day. They rudely disrespect you, and if you want to retaliate, they will kill you without a moment's notice and with no remorse at all. So I want you to imagine that type of scenario, and just imagine the harsh, negative, miasma and influence it would have on a black person's mind, or just not just a black man, but just any person's mind. You feel trapped. You feel like you are stuck in a mousetrap or something like that, and that's what a lot of black men deal with. Not all of them, but a huge majority of them, especially who live in an urban city like Chicago or Boston, or places like Brooklyn and New York or Atlanta, things like that. That's why I describe it as a no way out environment. There's literally no way out. You know what I mean? Like if you want to get out, it involves you doing a lot of illegal activity that you probably don't even want to do. That, in my opinion, is a true depiction of a black man feeling trapped, not just physically but mentally as well. It's like being a victim of your own environment. You are institutionalized. You can't imagine anything getting better, or a world outside of your neighborhood filled with opportunities, etc., etc. So to sum up everything I said in this video, the three main things that I talked about were socioeconomic issues, pharmaceutical and medical issues we had in our community, in our history, and the no way out environment that if you are a black person, you pretty much know what I'm talking about. And while the talks of mental health are being more outspoken and more overt, we have celebrities like Kid Cudi and Kanye West who talked about their vulnerabilities and issues and anxieties they feel as a person. So while the talks are there, the progression is still very, very, very slow. So I hope that through this video, anybody that's watching this who are struggling to provide for their families, or who have anxieties and have suicidal thoughts or any things like that to go out and seek help. I even linked a couple of lifeline numbers that you can call whenever you're dealing with these suppressed emotions. So go out and seek help, and I promise you, I would much rather have you have a peace of mind than for you to be worried about what other people call you, if you know what I'm saying. Thank you all for watching this video all the way to the end. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and again, I drop new videos every Friday at noon. So by next Friday, you'll definitely have a new video by me. Be sure to hit those notification buttons whenever I upload, again, every Friday at noon. And yeah, happy birthday, whatever you're going through. I think that's pretty much it. How you doing? How's your family? Cool. This was Mark Arroyo. Farewell.